Huh. Okay, so now that I've had my conversation with Snork, I noticed that four people are watching. Um, I have a couple of pieces of news. I'll probably private stream this because it's a little weird and my video isn't really working that well. Um, I am planning a channel reboot. I'm gonna kind of revamp the channel. Planning on it May 2nd. Um, May 1st, I am going to completely unplug from the internet uh, in honor of the the national strike. So I'm trying to take off of work, and what I will do is I will journal my attempts at unplugging. No TV, no internet, phone for emergencies, that kind of thing. But let's see how long I last. I'm an internet junkie, so it will be interesting. And if anybody has some good books to recommend, please, I'll be visiting the library probably, and doing some research and things of that nature. Also, Sabrina Giesler and myself, we are planning on having a uh, show a couple times a week. We'll see how it goes. We will be talking tomorrow, and we'll be talking about whistleblowers, um, people who agents of change, basically. So it'll be like a 10-15 minute talk, and if you guys have any questions for her or for me, um, feel free. Uh, and let's see, Angelica Duenas will be on not this Saturday, but 2 Saturdays after. Something came up, so yeah, she's more than amenable. I have um, a ton more people to contact that I've been in contact with. So I have like 5 or 6 potential interviews lined up, and I have to do some follow up. So we'll go from there. Um, but other than that, let's see. Oh, just found out some breaking news from a Chicago suburb. Deerfield, Illinois, has banned assault rifles in that one town, and the ban will be effective June 13th. And anyone found with an assault rifle after that date will be fined $1,000 a day. Good luck. Good luck collecting that that fine. If somebody hits an assault rifle, it's like that's a disaster waiting to happen. Let's see who's on here. Yeah. Does anybody want to come on, or that was pretty much all I had. We have 10 minutes before board running, so just add those few bits and pieces for you guys. And it's pretty late for everybody. Oh. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I just oh cool. I won't take too much of your time, but hey Kathy, how you doing? Yeah, I'm not going to be. I will give it another 10 minutes because I can never. I got. Those are words that I always want to hear from Mitch Held. No problem. I'm just awake to make sure it does not explode. Yeah, I miss Italian beefs. I would say the Italian beefs are better than the Philly cheeses because of the au jus. So yeah, I'll be okay. As long as Snork isn't working on an exploding Italian beef. No, I actually like the Italian beefs better than the Italian sausage. Italian sausage kind of that was painful. The best thing about Chicago Italian beefs and Italian sausage were the rolls. They know how to do their bread. I do have to say that much. Do you do grill mushrooms? I think that's more a New York thing. The peppers and the onions, yeah. Oh, and in New York, the peppers and the onions, it's weird as opposed to Chicago. Chicago knows how to do their Italian beefs and their Italian sausage. I gotta say that much. Yeah, ketchup on meat, except maybe a hot dog. I never understood. I would say ketchup with fries, maybe. I'm not a big ketchup guy. Well, burger, maybe. As I said, I'm not really a big ketchup guy. And horseradish sauce, yeah. Now, how spicy do you like your horseradish sauce? Oh, I actually, sure, if you want. Are you actually in here? I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, okay. Ow, my freaking hand. Ow. I must be tired. I didn't put the invite in there. I was like, why isn't anybody coming in? Big dummy. Alright, hold on. Oh, God, smoked pork. How you doing?
Okay, hopefully the noise isn't too much.
Eh,
I'll just keep it muted when I'm not talking.
as as long as like the FBI or the CIA doesn't come to me asking me what the hell the explosion was. Okay, whatever. Yeah.
I don't think I have any nuclear materials here.
I love the fact that you say I don't think I do. Hey man, how's everybody doing? Here's a question I have for you guys. Yeah, you're a son of a bitch. Yeah, mail it to me.
Oh,
That'll be. God damn it.
oh, doesn't look good.
You know what?
Oh,
I'm probably
he's so.
I'm probably gonna go to Indianapolis. I'll be in Indianapolis
I
or
could probably mail some to you. Actually, I have like some like
weird.
box coolers like
Yeah.
that have styrofoam in them, and you can get it like frozen at the grocery store here.
Oh God.
I could totally say, and the rolls too. I could send you the rolls, the right rolls. You know what rolls I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I know exactly what the well. We call them grinder rolls, I guess, but they're not grinder rolls because they're not that like thick and freaking heavy. It's like the fluffy, either
It's
the fluffy
different.
or the
Yeah, it's
crusty.
different.
There's two different like consistencies.
Well, no, you see, it has like a. It does have. It's fluffy, but it does
Right.
have a crust to it. It
Yeah,
does have like a little bit of flake to it. You know,
I know
it's
what
got
you.
a.
Yeah.
It smells so good. I'm so sorry, dude.
Don't worry about it.
I'm such a bastard.
Well, the only thing that I really can get in Indianapolis is kind of a makeshift Italian beef, or like steak and shake. Um, but other than
It's,
that, um,
it's probably close. You know,
it's
it's good
it's close
for the area.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
it's not as good as Chicago, but it's pretty close. So here's as far as the whole gun thing goes, and I think
Oh
Snork
yeah.
is in on this conversation. Why everybody's keyed on guns and not keyed on drones? And I remember weaponized drones. By the way, you asked me what kind of drones before. Um, I don't get it. I don't get it. May I understand that you know AR-15s have that reputation, but why are you gonna ban assault rifles in an entire town? And how are you gonna collect? There's Deerfield, Illinois, just put a ban on assault rifles in their town, and effective June 13th, if you have an assault rifle and you decide to keep it, you'll be fined 1 day or well, $1,000 a day until you get rid of it. I don't know how they're going to collect on that. I don't. I don't want to be.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to be the Deerfield sheriff trying to collect all those fines.
Well, are they gonna? Well, because in Illinois you have FOID cards, right? Like you have to have a ID,
Right.
like a special ID to own firearms.
Okay.
So they're just gonna go around to all the like FOID card owners and be like, "Do you have an assault rifle?" You know, like how are they gonna do this? What's their plan? I don't.
The only way that I could see it working is, you know, you piss me off. I know you have an AR-15. I rat you out.
Yeah.
That's the only way it's going to work.
Well, what's their? I don't like I said before. What's the point? Like, what trying to accomplish here? This is not gonna. One town gets rid of. I mean, what?
The only thing that I can think of
It's not gonna
is
do anything.
they're putting pressure on Chicago. That's the only thing that I could possibly think of. I don't remember how far away Deerfield is.
It's a little bit northwest. I mean, it's not like not north. It's like pretty. Yes, almost. Yeah, northwest. I'd say.
So, you know, West Chicago,
It's a very.
it's kind of sketchy.
It's rich. Lots of money there.
Ah, well, okay. Oh, yeah,
There's like a giant shopping mall there. Deerfield.
right. I remember now. I remember
Mhm.
now. So basically,
Yeah.
they're just trying to make a statement.
Yeah, it's genuflecting. It's
Right.
bullshit. I don't think any of them are really. I'm sure there's people that are like on the city council or whoever voted for this. I bet they have the guns and they have no plans on giving them up. So it's
But my thing is, let's say a few towns do this. I purchase an AR-15 from wherever.
Mhm.
I'm driving through one of these towns, and I have a permit for it. What happens? Do I get fined for
oh yeah.
driving
Never
through
thought
the
about that.
town? What?
Oh, you shouldn't be.
I have to, like, you know, map out my route to see which towns friggin' have weird ass laws now.
Well, it has to be only for residents of wherever it is. I'd say, like that's the only way they can do it.
It depends on
Legally.
how the law is written.
Right. Because if that's the case, I could just drive to your. Let's say you live in Deerfield. I could drive to your house, pick it up, and hold it for you until, you know, this law goes whatever and drive away.
Right.
It just, I don't know. I agree with you. I don't really see the point. And they're gonna be.
I gotta actually read the actual law.
Yeah, I
Was it in that article?
I don't think so. I'm gonna have to take a look at it because I think it was passed this past Monday. So how long was it
Mhm.
in their city council or whatever? Did they just like push it through? I'm gonna take a look at this thing.
Yeah, right. It was just like a week, a response a week after,
Right.
or 2 weeks, 3 weeks after, whatever. Probably.
So, I just searched for Long Island activism, and I'm going to give a free advertisement for this guy that I don't even know who he is. So anyone who lives on Long Island, on April 16th of this year from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Freeport Memorial Library, Alan Hunter will be speaking on anarchy. I may very well go to that because I'm actually off that day. Might talk to the guy. I actually made a joke in James's chat that I tried to found the Anarchy Party on Long Island, but it was a bitch to schedule a meeting because nobody wanted to go. um, and ironically enough, there's a guy talking about anarchy. So let's see how many people show up.
Well, is it Alan Hunter? Is he the former MTV guy?
I'm not sure because it says he is a Green Party member. He has a Bachelor's of Arts in Women's Studies from SUNY at Old Westbury and a Master's in Sociology from SUNY at Stony Brook. So I wouldn't imagine that he was the same guy. He's a theorist, lecturer, and author, a participant in psychiatric inmates liberation movement, and a self-described conceptually problematic participant in the movement against patriarchy. So, sounds like an interesting guy. He has to. I haven't heard of him, and I'm interested to see what he has to say, and maybe he'll help me. He'll help me with the Suffolk County Green Party, but I think it's interesting that he's an anarchist in a political party. That seems interesting to me. Let's see where it goes. So, Lake County, Illinois. 20. Okay, so it's partly in Cook County and partly in Lake County. So that's north. Okay. 18,225. So it's basically a rich Chicago suburb.
Yeah, I believe it's just north of Skokie.
Right, it is. It is. And I remember the mall too. I remember the mall. Now I don't remember compare like where it is in comparison to did you ever go to Ravinia? There was kind of a festival, a summer festival. I don't know if it's still going on, where you could just lay your tablecloths out, and you could have wine and picnics and blah blah blah. It's probably long gone by now because
I think it's still going on.
It does. It is okay. I don't know if you can still bring your own food and drink and all of that, but I could see it going on. They were like bringing their wine and cheese and stuff. That's where we were.
Yeah, you can. You
still can do that. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And your Italian beef, you son of a bitch. Yep. I loved when I first got to Chicago. I think it was in '92, and in '92 during I think actually it was '93 during the Taste of Chicago. There was a giant windstorm and it was raining and all that. All these freaking yuppie asses with their corn dogs going. Yeah, there were all these videos with the freaking wind like blowing their food on the stick all over the place. It's freaking, to me, I thought it was funny. I don't know. What, did you ever go to Taste of Chicago?
Yeah.
It was okay like the first time, but then it was just kind of pretentious after a while.
Yeah. I never went back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what?
Yeah, it's no deal. There's no deals there, that's for sure.
No, it's like that overpriced,
Mhm.
touristy thing. So, what is your favorite joint to go to in Chicago? Like, when you go to Chicago, or I guess you're in a suburb. If you go to Chicago, where is your place?
I always like going to Ed DeBevick's, but that's gone. So
Oh, it is gone. Okay.
yeah, it's gone. They tore it down. They sold it. It's gonna be like a high rise now or something.
Billy Goats was okay. Uno's. Oh, there was a place, and it was kind of a
Well, Uno's, yeah.
There was a local place. There was a local burger place, probably the best burgers I've ever had. Moody's in Rogers
Oh, I've never been
Rogers Park, but it could be long gone. And that pancake or the Waffle House, no, not Waffle House, the pancake joint. I never went. I would never got a chance to go there.
Harold's.
There was another one. Not Pancake House. What the hell? Oh yeah, maybe it was. It was the thing that was in Mean Girls. But Harold's was another one.
Yeah, Harold's is chicken and waffles.
Yeah. I might have to just drive to Chicago just to try that. I mean, damn.
It's better than it's a lot. Like you wouldn't think, but it's good.
Well, as I said, and by the way, 420, but I'm way off. But you wouldn't think that White Castle, the chicken and waffle sandwich for like $2.50 would be that damn good. I don't know what they put in those damn things. It's freaking amazing.
Well, yeah, just imagine if you had the real thing. That's
Right, exactly. Are you,
Oh.
Kathy? Do you have a copy of the actual law? She said, I don't know if she's I don't think she's joking. She said that with the law about the assault rifles, retired cops are exempt from the law.
Of course they are. Of course they are. Shocking.
So all you have to do is get like a walrus mustache and gain like 15 pounds. You'll be fine.
You're right.
Oh.
I'm so not surprised by that. That's
Nah, I'm not surprised either. But Kathy, Chicago is, well, I haven't been in Chicago since '98, and I'm sure there's been a ton of changes, but I liked Chicago. I did. I mean,
it's not as bad as everybody makes it out to be.
compared to New York, I say it's kind of like a laid back New York. That's how I've always described it. So, and the music is freaking. If you're a blues guy, the music, you can't get blues anywhere else. You can't really get barbecue anywhere else other than Chicago. Chicago culture. And
Yeah, it's neat.
if you're gonna go to Chicago, don't go to the goddamn Loop. You want to go to Sears Tower? Go ahead, go to Sears Tower, check it out, whatever. It's a tall building. It's not that big of a deal. You go to a Cubs game, you hang out around Evanston bars if you're like college age, that kind of thing. But I don't know, I mean, the blues clubs are pretty damn good. You have to go to the right ones though, the divier ones, not the trendy shit. But yeah. I do occasionally miss Chicago. The dodgy Chicago politics.
I liked having access to the things in Chicago. To be able to go to a comedy show or to just drive to McCormick Place for a industrial show. airport, stuff like that. It takes me half a day to get to the airport now.
Well, as far as like if you're in Chicago, to me, having a car is a giant pain in the ass. But the transportation, as you've mentioned before, it's really convenient. The grid system in Chicago, the north-south grid system, as far as city design, it's probably the best designed city that I've been to, and the transportation's pretty good. I mean, it's not the cleanest thing in the world, but it gets you there. So
yeah, if you're in the city.
Well, yeah, if
That's
you're
the
if you're in the suburbs, yeah, you're going to need a car. But if you're in the city, you can pretty much take public.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, but
I just wish there was like better ways to get like from the suburbs to the city.
which I never
That's
really
all.
understood. I would think that the suburban towns would want to connect to Chicago because it would be a draw,
I would think the suburban towns would want to connect with each other.
and that too.
Yeah. Because there's no like good way, like where I am, like you have to go like all the way into the city. Like if I want to go anywhere else in the city, I have to go all the way into the city, and then I like go out.
Right.
So like if I wanted to go like, like the southwest side, I'd have to go into the city and then out of the city to get there. Like I couldn't just go there.
Well, like Wilmette, Evanston, Skokie, the nearby suburbs. I think you can. It's more convenient, but the farther out you go, and also I can't remember the town that Ravinia actually was in. I know there's it's pretty easy access to actually get there from there, but other than that, it's not that well connected, which
Well, we used to have like interurban trains, like trolley cars and stuff that connected all the cities, but they got rid of all those.
whatever happened to that. There was that airport deal that Daley got in trouble for. Is like
That was it. Miggs Field on the lake.
yeah, whatever happened.
Yeah, one day he tore it up. Like there was a dental convention. A bunch of dentists still had their airplanes there, and he tore up the runway. The airplane's still there. They had to like tow him out of there like on a flatbed.
Jackass. Wasn't based? It was like going to be out of Gary, Indiana, or like East Chicago, something like that.
Yeah, the Gary, Indiana airport was like Chicago. They were going to call it Chicago. It's called, I think, Gary Chicago Executive Airport. There's like nobody flies out of there.
Okay.
I don't think. They had like a couple carriers for a little bit, but I think it's like almost closed now.
I did a factory right off the runway from Palwaukee Airport, which had a lot of like private jets. I had a parking lot to myself because a jet had recently crashed there.
Okay.
They had completely replaced the parking lot because asphalt burns. And then another airplane had fallen through the ceiling in this office area. And I had this whole cube for myself, and I didn't realize at first that another plane had come through the ceiling there. So here's a really nice desk for you and whatever.
Well,
And then I was there to help him with a group of machines that had replaced an area where another aircraft had come through the roof.
here on Long Island, we have a small airfield and a training facility, and it's the facility in which some of the 9/11 people were trained. So there was some hubbub there for a bit. And yeah, there was some profiling there as well. But we also there was a college. There was Dowling College. A couple of years ago, it was shut down. There's another that had training, airline or plane flight school, and there's another one in Farmingdale. So, and it was kind of a big deal when they shut the one down in Dowling College. But yeah. Oh, before I forget, Jennifer Kurland, I will be contacting her. Oh, and I don't know if you know Lisa Hauserman.
I've heard the name.
Yeah, I keep on forgetting. She sent me some clips in regards to the Apollo moon landing and people who are claiming that it is not real. And she wanted me to send it to Evan. I'm going to send it to Evan. I'm going to send it to you as well. And somebody else. I think it was you and Evan mostly. Oh, maybe Flying. Because she had been asking about it. I haven't really gotten a chance to see it, but it would be interesting to see what evidence they have that the Apollo moon landing was not real and was staged. I was just curious to see what you thought about it and if you've actually seen the evidence.
I have to look at that one. Everything I've seen so far, the people have no understanding of physics or lighting.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
They don't realize. Try an experiment. Go out to your car tonight before the sun comes up. Turn on your headlights. Step out in front of it. Hold your hand right in front of the brights.
Okay.
Just put your palm facing the bright lights.
Right.
And you'll notice that you can illuminate your entire car with your hand. This is the phenomenon that causes the multiple shadows that you see on the moon. So I was able to explain it that easily. You can go out and try it yourself and go, wow, that's just off of my hand, and it's really not even that bright a white compared to a piece of paper.
Okay.
Now imagine the astronauts had on white suits.
And their light source, yeah.
Imagine there was white all around them. Their helmets were covered in gold. The face shield.
Right.
Gold can be done really thin. So there was a thin layer of gold in front of their... If they weren't on the moon with the sun blaring in their face...
It was black as night.
It would have been black as night, everything to them.
Yes.
The reason the stars aren't visible is because the cameras are almost that dark. They're all darkened for this being out in the moon in an incredible bright light. Nothing between them to block any of the sun's rays. So the sun is as bright on the moon as it is down here, and it doesn't have the atmosphere to attenuate. So it's just blazing in front of you. You have to be good. A camera would be overexposed immediately. No matter how bad the film is, it would just be overexposed immediately. So they've got the cameras just way tuned down to the point where, okay, the light compared to what's bouncing off every little object on the moon is totally different from the level of light visible from the stars. So the stars winked out because of the shades. It is not true that Buzz Aldrin took a piss behind the lamp.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I mean, how? Well, if you exposed a body part, how?
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Didn't have that kind of zipper.
Okay. But if let's just for argument's sake say that part of the suit was damaged and a finger was exposed, what would have happened?
I believe the wrist collar would have closed and they would have lost their hand.
Right. So imagine, I don't want to imagine that. I don't want to think about that. But yeah, Lisa sent me, there's like a series. It's like 6 videos, I think.
But a lot of these people have all of these reasons for it, and they list them all. And they're not refuted.
Right.
They think, okay, yeah, there's multiple shadows like that. Okay. Why is there, why are we seeing one sun but 6 shadows or whatever? And it's because everything is like your hand bouncing the shadows off. There is a scene where Neil Armstrong is doing something, and there's this white light visible from underneath it. And it turns out to be the other astronaut's suit. They made a huge mistake making their suits all bright white.
Okay.
I know that, since they've gone to the moon, there are other mistakes that they made that will have to correct for future space exploration.
Well, at some point, I would like to watch these videos. If you get a chance to watch them, I'll watch them, and I will see if what you are saying is exactly what they are talking about. And I bet you it probably is. And one of the most amusing things that I have seen in a very long time is Joe Rogan had, and I don't remember the name of the guy, but he had a paleontologist on. And the paleontologist was shown video of, and Bob will probably do a spit take, of Eric Dubay, the flat Earth guy, who's saying that dinosaurs don't exist.
Yeah,
and it was fantastic. This guy was just going off, and you have someone who dedicates their life to science, and someone just dismisses it with unscientific, unproven theories. It was very amusing.
Yeah. Oh, we have lost the technology to the moon. We have to restart.
Okay.
I had so many teachers and professors in college that were on the moon project. It was just amazing how many people it took. I actually had the guy that did the camera mount for each of the pilots had our astronauts had a camera above them, and on the last 2 Apollos they wanted to be able to move the camera, and that's called a gimbal.
Right.
And one of my engineering instructors designed the gimbal.
Okay.
I had another one that designed their gloves, and another that came up with the idea to have them practice underwater. He was a human factors engineer, studying how humans deal with things, and he's also the inventor of. There's this instrument in aircraft called the Artificial Horizon. He was one of the inventors of that.
Okay. Hey, Gordon, what's up?
What's going on? Wake up and start working. That's my life. It's great.
Listen, the Earth is flat. Dinosaurs don't exist, and you cannot purchase and or carry AR-15s in Deerfield, Illinois.
Damn it!
If you
There goes my whole plan. I'm referring to the dinosaurs, by the way, not the AR-15.
you're gonna shoot a dinosaur in Deerfield, Illinois, with an AR-15.
So as far as like hydraulics in space, like I'm not sure if the gimbal was like, you know, on a hydraulic arm or if it moved or whatever, but you would think that hydraulics would be, you know, easier to operate in space. They would require less torque and less energy and everything to move around.
They did not use hydraulic. I'm not sure. I believe they reserved that for engines only. Because gaskets give off gases. And you couldn't have gaskets in there without, you couldn't have a hydraulics in there without gaskets.
I see.
I think it'd be one of the last things that you would use. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't instances where they used them, because I don't know.
So what do they use to move around the various cranes and what have you?
The space shuttle? I'm not sure what they used then either. The technology evolved quite a bit between the Apollos and the space shuttle.
Well, if they're not using hydraulics, I wonder, you know, what are they using to move these armatures around and what have you?
The way they move, they might be using solid metal phase change. It's kind of an actuator. A lot of seeing that. I let my kid use one at a school fair just to mess with the science teacher.
How did that throw off the science teacher?
Imagine something that's moving that has no visible motor.
Well, as a science teacher, you'd think you would realize that you know what was going on here.
I didn't really interfere that much with what my kids did for their science fairs, but whenever they asked me, I made sure they had some fun. And the material is called nitinol. It changes shape when you put electricity or heat across it. So it goes to a different phase, and the different phase remembers what it's supposed to look like at that temperature. So we put a small battery on a switch, and when he hit the button, it went like this. And his original concept was he wanted a button that when you pushed it, a Hot Wheels car on a track would tilt down and it would roll toward the front. When you let go of the button, it'd go back up. So we took a piece of brass and bent it, glued the track to it, and then we put a piece of nitinol across the end of the piece of brass. So it was a thin piece of brass metal. So everything was out in the open. There wasn't two wires going to it, because the piece of brass was one wire and the nitinol itself was the other wire. So it looked like it had no actuator. And then to make it worse, it looked like there was only one wire. So a lot of the other kids that have these electricity demonstrations where they would show that you need two wires for the electricity. So you could see when we had it there, you could see it stumping people. They'd go over to his and they like, touch the button, it moves. There's no hidden motor. There's nothing under it to be hidden. And so we had a lot of fun with that one. we had another fun with one that was a 6-volt high current battery that was the thickness of a piece of paper. And
this is what you get when Dad helps you out with your high school projects.
Oh yeah, this is like grade school.
Grade school.
He asked, "Can we make a night light out of an LED that lasts a long time?" And I said, "Sure." So it was a real easy one to put together, and so he walks in there with this LED on a sheet of paper, tapes it to the wall. He goes, "That's my project. Don't you need to turn that off?" No, it's got a 5-year battery. I was like, "Where's the battery?"
I never did any science fairs, but for about 3 years I was in something called Olympics of the Mind. And
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And we would do all kinds of, crazy on the spot, think them through projects.
Yeah. I always gave my kids some kind of tech that I had at home that wasn't really out in the public world. Not classified.
Okay, so
half the kids in that class are dead now.
Yeah.
You took like 30 years off their lives. Some alien tech.
So
no, like I said, nothing classified or anything. Just something that wasn't properly known.
I sent that video series to you, Snork, if you get a chance.
Yeah. Okay, that must be what I just heard come in.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. So, and Lisa had been asking me. I kept on forgetting. So I gotta give it to Evan too because she asked me to give it to him. But I don't know. A good conspiracy video is always
yeah,
good for the
what
soul.
happens though mostly with conspiracy, it falls into several groups. You got the ones that really think they understand what's going on, but don't have quite an understanding of everything that's happening in that situation. You got the others that have been told by others, and they want to spread the truth.
Right.
Right. They're not trying to. They want to spread the truth. And then you have those that enjoy the fact that there's a conspiracy theory because it hides what they really don't want you to know.
Right. Yeah.
And I call that blue booking.
Yeah, that's a good name for it.
Yeah,
you always have to leave. You just have to understand whether we're talking about conspiracy theories or just basic information about candidates or anything else.
Yeah, because
basically it all comes through filters.
The total purpose of Project Blue Book was to hide the Archangel Project.
And you're sure of that? Did someone tell you?
Yeah, that's online too.
I'm just teasing.
So
you can start digging. You'll find that online.
I will give a little teaser trailer. Katie Savage, Absolute Katie, and I were working on a project, and we're working on analyzing and not really reviewing, but kind of doing some analysis of movies and television and media in regard to propaganda and different concepts. And our first project is looking into the movie network, and what the messages were, and if they're really true, and that kind of thing, or what was the movie hiding anything?
The movie network?
Yeah.
Like 1978?
1976, I think.
Okay. We might have got it to Iowa 2 years later.
Yeah, won the Peter Finch won the Oscar posthumously. I actually remember that Academy Awards too. And I thought it was odd that a guy would have passed away and gotten an Oscar. Um, and I was a kid at the time, and I had no idea what the movie network was.
So you're saying that there's a conspiracy behind his death?
No. What was the message of network in regards to television news? And was the movie really telling the truth? Kind of a thing. I mean, that's where I'm going. If you remember, I don't know if they had taken the story from the actual event. I really don't know if there's that strong of a link. But if you remember, back in 1974, there was a local news reporter. I don't know if she was an anchor. Chubbuck, I think it was Christine Chubbuck, committed suicide on screen.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and 2 years later, Network came out. And it was basically the scene, I'm mad as hell, I can't take it anymore. It was that news anchor just completely losing it, and he was suicidal in that moment, but he didn't commit suicide. What would have happened if the person kind of lost it but didn't commit suicide? So
another one that I'd like to see brought up was Evan posted a few days ago the montage of scripted local news, where everybody was using the same script for maybe 100 different stations. So they buy their news scripts from a common service. Many of these news outlets are owned by the same syndicate, because you no longer are limited to how many you can own.
Correct.
So the syndicate will send out different news stories they can run, and the news readers basically word for word just say whatever's on them, and they almost always say the exact same thing. And it's usually, if it's local news, many of the items that are local news are somehow dealing with something that's in their advertisements.
Somehow.
Either excluding something that doesn't want to be talked about, or including. So, if there's some convention in town, they might do a special on it, but they might also be paid to do that special as an advertisement for that convention center.
Do you remember it was in the 90s, Ron Majors and Carol Marine were two Chicago anchors, and that news station decided to put Jerry Springer on as an anchor, and both of them quit.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. And at the time, it was a big deal. And then it started to come out, the criticisms of the news starting to become more of an advertisement kind of thing and not real news. They're advertising products and that kind of thing as news. So I remember back when I was still watching Jon Stewart, The Daily Show, he used to do montages. Most of the time Republicans, but sometimes Democrats too. They would get the same script from wherever, the RNC or the DNC, and you'd have 50 Republicans saying, job creators at the same time on the same day, about the same story. Kind of the same kind of thing.
Well, there was that famous instance, I can't remember her name, but she ended up reading something from, I can't even remember. I want to say it was a bank or a telecom, but they handed her something and she read it on the floor of the Senate word for word.
Awesome.
Do you guys remember that?
No, I don't.
It was like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 years ago. There was like a good 2-week hullabaloo about it, and then people forgot about it.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I don't remember it offhand. I'm working at the moment too, but if I remember, I'll look it up.
So, good lord, everybody's competing with me all of a sudden. Jamoral's on at freaking 5 in the morning. What the hell, Jamoral?
He's there to sing the praises of Progressive Voice, dude. That's
some
a
people
24
get heartburn. Jamarl, I think if he eats something, he has to get up and do a short show.
And let's see, Ryan's on too. I have more than double his audience right now. I had 5 people watching. He has 2.
Jamarl's been rocking it out, man. Like, his subs have been going up by leaps and bounds, and like, someone popped him a $500 super chat, and he's on his way up. It's good.
And listen, I'm all for people getting their shine and getting their props and all of that, as long as the content continues to be good content.
It's tough. I've seen public attention ruin people's minds, or at least, make them a bit duller than they were before. There's just something about public attention that seems to do that to people. I think Jamarl's probably going to be more resistant to that than most.
If anybody can handle it, it'll be a Jamarl. I've seen him interview in person, and he's pretty incredible, actually, because he has an amazing amount of. He knows he's intelligent, and he knows what he knows, but he's also incredibly empathetic. He's incredibly empathetic, and he's pretty humble too. So maybe that's going away now that he's getting $500 super chats, and
I haven't seen any indication of his behavior.
He got a yacht. He's wearing the giant clock around his neck. Yeah, no,
I haven't seen any indication of of any changes.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a dangerous road to walk. Like, it can mess you up, can change the way you think.
Yeah.
Once everyone starts telling you how great you are, like, no one's immune to it. It's a danger everyone has to watch out.
to forums and conferences, and you get a little bit of payment here and there, and people start knowing who you are, and you're interviewing really high quality people, and and your cat is being a pain. What the hell, cat? But
yeah, I've seen no indication of it. Like, he's doing fine.
Yeah.
Like, all more power to him. He's getting some followers. He's making some money. He's putting the work into it, so he deserves it. So, more power to him.
Yep.
It's just, I've seen it happen with other people that when they reach a certain point, they start their behavior and commentary change. Changes are sometimes subtle, and then they progress. Other times they're radical, and they happen quickly.
Look, I've had my criticisms of H.A. Goodman, but I have to say I give him a lot of credit for his recent interviews, and his interview of Susie Dawson was spot on point, and I thank him for that. And whistleblowers and Julian, they don't get enough. They don't get enough notice and credit and attention, and it's incredible to me. So I appreciate. For a while with H.A. Goodman, it was just like, all right, with the Seth Rich already, chill. Oh, by the way, let's see. there's. Let me see if there's a breaking story that what was it? Hillary says that the news is obsessed with lies against her or something like that.
Of course. It's the news' fault.
I'd agree. I think they have not been putting as much negative stuff about her as they should be.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Hillary.
They do tell a lot of lies about her, don't they?
Hillary Clinton says the U.S. is in the middle of a war. Everything has to be a damn war, by the way. A war on truth, facts, and reason. And may I say, I can't show it because I can't screen share on this thing for some weird reason. But also apparently a war on fashion. Jesus Christ. That freaking jacket. Oh my God.
She's got to quit dressing like that, man.
Holy hell.
I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I know what you're referring to, and you know she has to come back down to earth.
Yeah.
Like,
my grandma would go, "Good God, that's dated." You know.
Yeah, you might not have seen our conversation last night.
No, I didn't actually.
Conjecture that the pants that she wears are to hide the piss bags in the legs.
That could be true.
You know what? I don't.
Or at least it was for a time. Like she did have that brain injury, and like you know, I'd imagine for a few months afterwards, at least if not ongoing, that there were some issues. Maybe some of those issues involve bladder control.
Well, some of those issues involve, morality control as well. You know, I will give people credit for going out with issues like that, but
if it was just the fact that she had some like bladder problem, like I wouldn't care. But the fact that she has seizures, public seizures, and requires like handlers to help her up and down steps, and seems to have like a dedicated handler around her all the time. You know, I think she has medical issues that are more serious than she presents to the public.
So, due to some events, I postponed the Angelica Duenes interview until Saturday, April the 21st.
Okay.
Just so everyone knows.
I'm not sure if it's Friday night or Saturday night of this week that I promised Kelly that I'd be on another about chemtrails.
Oh, cool.
She wanted me to watch a video on chemtrails, and yeah, there's going to be some surprises there.
So give us a sneak peek. What's your evaluation?
The first 8 minutes. There is a medical doctor who has been charged with aiding and abetting the practice of medicine without a license. In one state, he's got a scam history, and that's one of the evidences used for the movie. He's one of the in the first 8 minutes.
I think I know this guy, or know about this guy. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. What's the other one?
This is like a big deal too. This is like he was like all over the place. If it's who I think you're talking about.
Yeah. And
was it an Indian gentleman or is it someone else?
Not an Indian, German.
Okay. Nah, it's somebody different then.
He wants us to go back to using Zeppelins. That's his end game.
Yeah.
Zeppelin trails.
Quoted somebody else that filed a patent for weather control.
Yeah, I mean, the issue of geoengineering, I think, is something that citizens should be concerned about. Whether we're talking about chemtrails specifically, I haven't seen much evidence that would lead me to believe that they're, shooting aluminum into the atmosphere out of your average jet, passenger jet.
On the contrary, I think we should be doing geoengineering, and we're not.
See, I think limited geoengineering to reduce as a harm reduction measure for our own activities is okay with me.
Yeah,
but we're talking about some people have these expansive geoengineering plans or desires to see a level of geoengineering occur that I don't want to see. I think that the complexities are too great for us to deal with. And we shouldn't be messing with some things.
Yeah. And, but I don't think the experiments they mentioned were one-time experiments that happened so long ago. And we currently fire sounding rockets all the time. So when we fire a sounding rocket, sure, we put a little teeny bit of these chemicals in the air. Not chemtrails, and going back to the U-2 and the SR-71. When the SR-71's predecessor came out, the A-12, one of the main purposes of the pilot, instead of using just a missile to do it, was so that they could fly at that one perfect sweet spot where they wouldn't make a contrail. It's so hard not to make a contrail, and when you have a secret spy plane flying at Mach 3 and above, you want to hide the contrail.
Now, how high do you have to go before chemtrails are no longer an issue?
Well, apparently it's varying altitudes where it can come in and out.
Yeah.
So there's windows of opportunity where you have them or don't. It was a major issue, and the SR-71 had a mirror just for watching the back to make sure that there was no chemtrail, or not chemtrail, but contrail.
Now that thing topped out at what, 50 or 60,000 feet?
No.
What?
Not sure what it was. I'm not sure what it was.
But it wasn't 50.
Was not that low.
It wasn't that low. Okay.
Yeah,
I just wonder how high you have to go where it's 99% sure you're not going to produce a chemtrail of any sort unless there's some crazy fluctuation.
Above 50,000 feet is reserved for military use only above the United States.
Will that produce a chemtrail?
A contrail.
A contrail. Sorry, I'm just
waiting. Most aircraft will.
I've been watching these.
I don't know all aircraft, so I can't say it. None of them will.
I've been watching these CSIS conferences, whatever they're talking about, space warfare and suborbital aircraft and all this other stuff. And, I just wonder if that's really even an issue anymore what the SR-71 had to face. If we can just shoot our, high-tech aircraft high up enough.
I believe they can make contrails all the way up to 100K. The higher you get, the littler, just a tiny bit of moisture coming off it, concentrated.
Well, with the satellite and camera technology, it's just, some of these things that were an issue in the 60s are just no longer an issue today.
That's true. I don't know the current state.
We need to dump more money into black ops projects to build these aircrafts. That's my evaluation. Another $1 trillion or so.
I think that these people that do it, the guys from Plant 42 and stuff like that, or Plant 49, I can't remember what it is. But we should be turning to them to be making things for fighting climate. And we probably could sell a lot more aircraft and deep sea vessels and whatever than they ever could spend money on for war, and we would get something out of it.
Well, see, deep sea vessels to what purpose? Who would buy them?
Well, we need to be
Like-
buying them to clean up our mess.
Yeah.
We should be putting as much money into fighting the climate war as we are putting into fighting the wars that we want to break out with people that would mutually destroy us. So what we really should be doing is putting the money into the climate war. And I believe if we told Lockheed and all these other companies, we want to start buying climate equipment from you, that they would stop blocking our purchases for climate and start being our biggest supporters and helpers.
Well, they're just so embedded with the government that.
Well, I mean, they would still be in bed with the government, but we're going to be saying it. Okay, instead of you possibly blowing us all up every 3 years, how about we give you a 200-year project? Every year you deliver us this much equipment.
Well, their involvement with the government at this stage prevents such a question from me even being asked in the first place.
Listen, stop criticizing those companies for being in bed with the government, or or Lockheed will stop giving us the equipment we need for the postal service. All of our mail sorting, a lot of it is from Lockheed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We need something that to scrape off that giant mat at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico. Some kind of deep sea bulldozer that can just go down there and scrape.
To be honest with you, I thought most, if not all, of our equipment was from Grumman. All of the LLVs that we had, the older Jeeps, I know those were Grumman. But one of the sorting machines, my old union president, she's like, yeah, look at that. And there was there's a screen at the top of the machine that says Lockheed Martin. I was like, oh, I never noticed it. Because I don't even think about stuff like that.
I'm not sure how profitable it would be, of course, in the end, but at least it would produce something to alleviate some of the cost. They need to build a platform or two around the garbage island out in the middle of the Pacific, and maybe one platform for collection, the other for processing, recycling, maybe even a third one for shipping, so they could collect the plastic, turn it into blocks or whatever, and then ship it out on some freighters or something. I mean, those kinds of projects are completely within the scope of our ability to do. I mean, that's not really a giant project. It's a long-term project, but it's not something that's overly complicated or, beyond our reach to do.
So, Snork, I have a question for you. Are you familiar with the company that Amazon purchased back in 2012, but the robotics that they basically use for their work, part of their workforce?
I can't remember if I know the specific one.
I actually looked it up. I could probably look it up again, but I know they bought it in 2012. I have a feeling their robotics program, or their what they have, has to be the envy of many companies, and I'm just wondering if the U.S. government has it in their head to try to either leverage Bezos or try to somehow partner up with them. I don't think Trump has that idea, because he's kind
They used to use Hughes a lot, because they could go to him and say what they needed. Right. And at first he came to them. He just said, I'd like to move the nuclear test because you're too close to my house. And they said, well, it would cost us an enormous amount. And he goes, well, how much do you need?
Right.
Jeez.
Oh, wait. Another breaking news story. There's a GoFundMe for Bezos.
I'm getting out my wallet. Dave, we're doing a telethon right now for Bezos. 24 hours.
We need. Damn it! If I knew about it April 1st, I would have done a fucking day-long telethon for Jeff Bezos.
Bezos is running into conflicts though with his other fellow elites. Like some of these elites are starting to brawl with each other a bit. Like we're seeing, EU do anti-Facebook actions.
Right.
We're seeing,
they're not going.
There is some pushback against the quote, the new money.
They're not going to cannibalize each other. If people have that in their head, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, the weakest one might get cannibalized.
Possibly.
That's the way it usually goes.
Yeah.
And the rest of them will kind of sort out a new power structure.
Branson will float away somewhere.
The old one.
Branson will float away somewhere. Nobody will see him. Whatever. He'll hang out in the Alps somewhere. But Bezos, I don't see him going anywhere. He lost $16 billion. So supposedly. So what? That's a weekend? I'm just saying.
We'll see. We'll see how effective the attacks are against him. He's dealing with, powerful consolidated interests. It's not 100% sure that he's going to come out on top. I mean, I don't think he's going to die or end up in a prison cell at the end. I'm sure he's going to have a beautiful life for the rest of his life. Right. But, he might be disempowered at some point, or he might have to disempower some people in order to maintain.
Not if we have anything to do with it. For his.
That's right, Dave. We're going to raise $200. We're going to put this fucker over the top.
Send all of your Jeff Bezos donations to me, Independent Outsider, via Patreon.
Yeah, it's for Jeff. Really. He needs it.
But I had my ideas in regards to what's going on with the Postal Service, and Mary Brennan is the Postmaster General, and every once in a while she comes out with these dumbass videos. So she came out with an address to the employees, thanking us for our hard work, all that bullshit. She said a couple of things in the video that I saw today. Number one, the Board of Governors, there have been 3 new appointees. So that will put Trump over the top with the Board of Governors. And the Postal Regulatory Commission, there are 3 new. There's 1 opening now that he hasn't filled yet, and then 2 more coming up in November. He will have the Postal Regulatory Commission. There is a postal reform bill in the works right now that Mary Brennan and some of the Republicans are pushing to not destabilize it, but take power away from the Postal Regulatory Commission to create a free market with the United States Postal Service, which means that they would regulate their own prices, which means they're privatizing, or they're trying to privatize.
Yeah. They're giving up their biggest strength.
Yep.
With that measure right there. Like before, the post office was the one who, to a degree, set the market. Like prices were kind of based around what the post office was charging. Now, under these changes, that will change, and it will actually flip. The market will be in charge of what the post office charges.
I never trust Mary Brennan's numbers at face value. What she said was that 70% of the Postal Service's revenue was postage. The other 30% are like product. like, packing tape and package
Boxes.
boxes and shit like that, and key rings and stamps, of course.
Well, that's postage.
Posted, well, yeah, but commemorative stamps, like collectible stamps that people wouldn't use. They like have shit in a frame, like the Bugs Bunny stamp, if you remember that.
Yeah, they come out with these damn stamps once in a while.
Right. The friggin', Cenk Uygur stamp or whatever the hell.
That's the one I'm waiting for, dude.
But Trump, and I spoke to a friend of mine in the Pulses, a coworker, and actually she was my old union president. She reminded me that Trump doesn't know how the post office works. He is continually saying that the Postal Service is losing money because we are not taxing Bezos enough. We don't get revenue from taxes. The Postal Service doesn't get revenue from taxes. The only revenue that is generated for the Postal Service comes through the postage and through
These peripherals.
The peripherals. That's it. And shipping, like special shipping deals. Direct shipper or whatever the hell. Special plans and stuff. 40% of all packages that Amazon sends is through the United States Postal Service now, but that's going to decrease over time because Bezos is actually creating more of a fleet, and God help us when he creates a fleet of driverless cars,
Robots. Some kind of fucking drone.
Yeah,
Hypersonic drone. Don't worry, it's perfectly safe. It just flies at about 200 feet above the fucking ground at Mach 2.
And
don't worry though, it's nuclear powered.
I am like this fucking wireless router. I've been waiting for fucking days, and I spent money on 1-day shipping. Amazon, damn you! I'm waiting for the little robot to deliver my package.
People were jacking those fucking packages, dude. It was hilarious. Remember that? They tried that for a while and it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
I think they discontinued the program, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
People were destroying the drones and stealing the packages, or a combination of the two.
Do you remember I'd say about 15 years ago or so, there was a project was the IT it was like a little scooter, and you were supposed to ride this thing.
A Segway?
Not a Segway. It was more like a scooter with a bag on each side. You stood on it. You didn't. It wasn't even a. It wasn't like a Segway or one of those rascals, because you were standing. The problem was
you stand up on a Segway, dude.
Oh,
it
you
has
can?
2 wheels. Are you talking about something that has 2 wheels?
Yeah. So I guess it
You're
wasn't.
probably talking about a Segway.
All right. The problem was they wanted carriers to do it on sidewalks, and first off, when you stop, the thing would tilt and fall over, and the other thing is it would throw them when it would hit a crack in the sidewalk.
Segways are great, man. I used to ride around on Segways a lot when I worked in Tempe, and because we had a couple for the building, and rather than drive downtown, you just took the Segway.
But
they work perfectly fine. I never had any issues like that.
With mailbags, you'd have mailbags, one on each end.
Well, I would. There was a basket on it, and sometimes there would be heavy things in it.
Huh.
Never had any real problem. But I don't know about 100 pounds of mail or whatever.
We had a state candidate in the 2016 election that came around. It was not a Segway, because the Segway has these little handles you hold. His just had the feet only, no thing that stuck up. And he had somebody with him that rang the doorbell for him, and he went house to house writing that. And it just made him look like the laziest jerk in the world.
Yeah. People have a negative reaction to Segways and like those things.
Well, that he was like standing out in the yard. I can't come any closer because of your step. I don't want to get off my little device here. And then he spun around and went out to the next door, and he lost.
I'd get such a mixed reaction riding around on that thing. Like, I had people screaming obscenities at me a couple of times, like just for riding the Segway. And then there were other people who would like wanted to ride it and all this other crap. And they'd come up to me like I was famous or something. Like, oh, let me ride it, man. Get like a group of 5-6 people around me. But people hate those things. So many people hate them. They see them as being elitist or something. I don't know. I think they're efficient.
I thought it was good when I saw the Chicago cops downtown with them.
They're a good way to get around a downtown area. A really good way.
It was at the Bean, and they were there was like 3 or 4 of them, and they were able to quickly move about the crowd and observe what was going on, which I thought was effective. But they weren't all worn out and still able to get around at good speed.
And they have different types of Segways. Like some of them are more like heavy duty, and they'll go up the side of a fairly steep grass hill with no problem. They'll just fly up it. Others are more designed for, going down roads or whatever. They have a whole line of them now. I wish people would use them more. They take just a couple hours to charge up. Like, they save a lot of fuel. I think they're a good idea, but people just hate them. I don't know if you ever did you guys ever watch Arrested Development? Do you ever see that show?
I know of it. I haven't really watched it that much.
They mocked Segways in that.
Didn't they mock Segways in Seinfeld too? I mean, of course, they mocked everything in Seinfeld.
I think so. Such a shame. It's a good technology. People hate it.
I can't see. Well, there's a push cart that carriers use. That's fine, but if I actually have to ride the damn thing, I just anything that I actually have to ride that is given to me by the United States Postal Service, I don't trust whatsoever.
Well, when you first it's like riding a bike. It's just about finding that right center of balance. And once you do that, you're good to go.
Right.
You won't make mistakes on it unless something really messed up happens.
Which can happen. Well, let's see. There's a couple of stories driving postal vehicles. One, I was on the Robert Moses Causeway, and I don't know if you guys know the Robert Moses Causeway, but it's a very long bridge. It's down by Gilgo Beach. You're crossing over water, and I was driving a postal van, and the door gave way. And I had to white knuckle that son of a bitch all the way to the Postal Service. And when I got there, I mean, I'm surprised that my arm didn't I didn't sprain my shoulder or something. I let go, and it was like one of those freaking movies, movie scenes. The door just went clang. I was like, and the second one was, I was driving one time, and there was a short in the horn, so I hit a bump, and the horn just went off. It was like beep, and people would like be driving by me and like give me the finger, and I like have my hand off the wheel. I'm like, look, and the horn would continue to beep forever. And it was like, and it was just the running joke. Stop that honking! But, or somebody accused me of shorting out the vehicle's engine. I'm like, dude,
Why would you do that?
I have absolutely no idea how to do that. So, or when I first started working for the Postal Service, and the gas gauge was like always at half a tank, and I ran out of gas, not realizing that the damn tank needle was fucked up.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I think that they'd invest some dollars into making sure the damn gas gauge works.
Oh, the gas companies, they were running a scam. They were overcharging the carriers at one point, and they got caught. That was fun.
I'm
So what does
gonna go to bed. I'll see you guys.
Yeah.
have a good night.
Bye. Snork's up planning something, I think.
Yep, he's planning on sabotaging the post office with all the secrets you've been letting out.
Go ahead.
Loose lips sink ships, Dave. Isn't that fucking rule 1 at the post office?
He left, and now he's waiting in the waiting room. What are you doing, dude? Oh, there he is. Okay.
It's his cat. His cat wants to log on. That cat dominates his feed most of the time.
I know, my damn cat. Where the hell is my cat? I know it's...
So what do you think about, I don't know if you guys have discussed this, I've been busy all week, about Tim Canova saying, fuck you, to the Democrats.
I think it's one of two things. Either he's for real or he's not. And it could be kind of a Bernie move where it's like, yeah, I'm independent, and try to steer people back. I don't know.
Is there something that he's done that leads you to believe that that might be the case?
Yeah. The fact that when he said that he was going independent, he called himself an independent Democrat.
I see.
So,
I didn't catch that. I just heard that he was going independent, and I caught part of that Ron Placone interview.
He said something to the effect of, I still consider myself a Democrat, but the Democrats betrayed us, so I'm now a Democratic independent.
Well, okay, so the real question for his supporters would be, what happens to our donations if you don't win?
Right.
Like, are you independent enough to be free from the party infrastructure that you're not going to have to hand over your war chest if you lose, as per, the party rules? Or are, what's going to happen? Are you out of the party or are you not?
Right.
I mean, I guess I'm confused. What the fuck?
Remember, he...
Independent Democrat.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
He is, Team Bernie. So Bernie pulled that same bullshit. He's independent, but he works with Democrats, but he's done, and they did. I could see Tim Canova running with Bernie on the ticket for 2020. I could see that.
Yeah, they wouldn't make it past the primaries, but they might raise a lot of money in the meantime. Like, yeah, I mean, if he's going to run within the Democratic Party infrastructure, then what the kind of fuck do you think you're doing, man? I'll be pissed because that's a fucking shell game. If that's what he does, then he's playing a goddamn shell game. I'm an independent. Whereas Bernie was always, Bernie wasn't playing a shell game per se. He was always an independent. You know, he wasn't trying to switch it up or whatever. He just decided to run within the party, and I don't like that. Okay, but that's not a shell game. Now, if Tim Canova leaves the party, claims to be an independent, but then runs within the party, then that's a fucking shell game. It's a watch the monkey game, and that's bullshit. And he's out if that's what he does, in my opinion.
Listen, what I want to see his platform. That's what I want to see. And if he's serious about
his platforms don't mean jack shit, dude.
I understand that. Also, what has he actually done? Where has he run before? What offices has he held? And let me see his freaking voting record. And let me see what he's done before. If he's done anything.
I've never really looked that deeply into Tim Canova. Like, I looked at him as a peripheral of the 2016 race. And I saw, like, the way Sanders had treated him, and I saw the way he was cheated by Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Well,
I'm fairly familiar with some of his views.
Yeah. My thing about Canova is he's kind of parallel to Bernie. You know, did he say, okay, you know, I'm going to give this one up, blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't know. That whole thing.
You mean with Debbie?
Yeah.
Like,
when Bernie kind of shunned him or whatever the hell he did, I don't think that Tim, maybe he was upset or whatever, maybe, I don't know, but Tim hasn't disavowed Bernie. He was raising money for Bernie after the California election, after he was shafted. So I don't trust it. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the hell is going on.
There's some gamesmanship going on there. Like, he's scared to disavow Bernie because he sees him as a potential ally. But there's some gamesmanship going on there. I mean, Bernie should be on the forefront of calling out Debbie Wasserman Schultz's bullshit. And he should be using any opportunity, like the Tim Canova race, for example, to do that. But yet he doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't call it out. He doesn't support the people running against Debbie. He does nothing. So, you know, how much can you count on an ally like that? I understand you might want to ally with Bernie, Tim, but, you know, how much can you count on him? His loyalties lie elsewhere. He's demonstrated that to you.
And the funny thing is, Bernie, to the best of my knowledge, Bernie isn't a Democrat on paper. I think he has an I by his name still. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an independent who won't support another independent because he's going to support the Democratic Party, even though he's independent. Whatever. I don't.
He thinks he can achieve power in this. The Democratic Party is set up like a fucking corporation, all right? It's not set up like a democratic process. It has a CEO, the equivalent of a CEO. It has the equivalent of a board. And what Hillary did was kind of followed a hostile takeover model, where instead of taking like stock options and shit, she was seizing control over funding sources. Right. So, yeah. But it was the same strategy. It was like a corporate takeover. Okay. So, okay, Bernie, what are you going to do? Are you in order to get power in that system, you have to gain, quote, all the stock options or the majority of them. And that means gaining all the funding sources. And that means going to people like Jeff Katzenberg and all the, it means going for the big money ticket. And there's just no other way to gain power in that party.
Right.
As it stands now. So, Bernie, your strategy's fucking failing. I don't know what the hell you're thinking. They'll never let you into the general.
So who do you think? I think it's going to be Gillibrand. I really do.
It's too early to say.
They
just keep throwing people up there like, they don't know what they're doing. They're facing inner conflict. They're facing, rejection from the public. The party's in complete disarray. They throw one candidate up there, the people shoot him down. They throw another candidate up there, the people shoot him down. Why are the people shooting them down? Because these are not Democrats that you're running. You're running 1990s Republicans. You're running people like Cory Booker. So you can keep throwing all the Cory Bookers you want up there. With the power of the internet and rapid communication and information exchange, within a couple of days, people are going to find out who the fuck this person is, and they're going to tell them to fuck off.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, all Trump has to do is sit back, keep his nose relatively clean, and let them fuck up. And he has 2020. That's the way it stands now. Trump isn't going to have to do much to win 2020 unless something crazy happens. I don't see the Democrats changing their strategy. They keep intentionally trying to alienate and I'm sure it's not intentional. They don't want to alienate their base, but that's what they're doing with their strategies, constantly alienating more and more of their base with bullying tactics, with just spreading just disingenuous bullshit about Trump. Liberals don't like Trump, man. I hate having to defend Trump against lies. But I find myself often doing so because, there are bigger issues at stake here. Like the integrity of our election system. Trump for 4 years fucking sucks. But you know what sucks more? Not having sham elections every single time from now on, no matter what.
Don't worry.
That sucks more.
Listen, Tulsi Gabbard is going to push for paper ballots because Russia fucked our elections, and she's going to help Homeland Security make everything better. Don't worry about it. We got it.
We're in the Council of Foreign Relations.
Oh, my head. Fucking head. And look, I don't know what the answer is. I know it's not the Democratic Party. I don't know what the hell it is. I haven't seen it yet. And I'm willing to talk to anybody. I have met some very competent and intelligent Green Party people, but any party that says that they're the answer, I went through that.
None of these parties are the answer, man. There's only two parties that have a chance in this country. And neither of those two are the answer. And even if there was a third party that did have the answer, that wouldn't get fucking elected in this system. I mean, the legal system and the electoral system is set up in such a way to funnel people into these two parties pretty much no matter what. And they're not going to have another 1990 with Ross Perot actually presenting some kind of a real alternative to people.
Right.
There have been reforms since then, and those reforms are designed to not let shit like that go on. In addition, like, you know, judges do nothing about fucking gerrymandering. No one's doing anything about the goddamn machines. The electoral system is shot, and it's not where our solutions lie. I mean, I think that we should participate in the election system, if only to maintain the infrastructure of it. You know, like, in order to keep just the raw system itself going, people need to participate. But as far as finding actual solutions to some of our major problems in the voting booth, it's not going to fucking happen.
Well, my opinion about voting is that unless someone impresses me, I'm not going to vote for you just for the simple act of voting. If there are referendums in my state, I will investigate them, and I will vote on the ones, you know, for or against that I really, you know, am passionate about. If you impress me, you got my vote. If not, you don't. And I'm not going to vote for somebody just because they have a letter by their name or just because I have to vote. That's to me, it's silly, and maybe, you know, I'm shirking my responsibility, but I'm also making a mockery out of the responsibility by, you know, punching a hole or whatever next to someone I know nothing about. So I don't know if you've heard of this, but there is there's two actually this year. One May 1st and one on Labor Day. It's kind of a day of strike where it's a day of non-participation. Where,
of course, May Day.
You don't buy anything. I am actually going to participate in that. I am not going to live stream. I'm not going to go on the internet. I'm not going to go on Twitter, Discord, MeWe, Periscope, whatever the hell, you know. And I'm going to try to stay away from my phone unless there's an emergency. And I'm going to stay home. And I'm going to, you know, if you know of any good books.
Read Heart of Darkness, man. You can read Heart of Darkness in a day.
Yeah. I'll read Dark Money again. Friggin' want to shoot myself.
Heart of Darkness, that's what Apocalypse Now was based on.
Yeah.
It's a good book. You can read it in a day. Buy Nothing Day is the one I participate in every year, and that's Black Friday. And I don't buy anything on that day.
There was an Occupy group on Long Island where they were basically they set themselves up like off to the side of a mall, and you could donate stuff to them, and they were giving things away to people who needed them.
Nice.
That was a donation. Now the cops shut them down after 3 hours. How dare you try to help people?
Jesus Christ!
They had a permit, the whole damn 9 yards.
What was their fucking excuse for shutting them down then?
Maybe it was like,
you're causing the crowd is forming. You're causing a disturbance.
Either that, or you were too close to the. I bet you that's what it was. That they were too close to the storefronts.
Well, the permit would have outlined that. It would have said all that shit.
Well, I just as I had gone to donate. I donated a bunch of coats and stuff. The cops were there, and they were giving them paperwork and stuff. So I didn't stick around. I'm always afraid that they might recognize my face.
You know, that recently it's come back into the news that they're arresting people down on the border for leaving supplies out in the desert for migrants. But that shit's been going on forever. Like, when I lived down there, it was all over the local news. Another person gets arrested for leaving water. This group gets arrested for leaving like some food or giving some fucked up person a ride. Because sometimes some of these people would stumble out in the middle of the road, right? They just got done walking 90 miles through the desert plus, right? And they stumble out onto a road and someone picks them up and says, hey, you know, let me take you to the next town before you die out here. And they would arrest people for that. And they would charge them with like transporting a fucking illegal immigrant, which is, you know, not a small thing. So they would, you know, these people weren't human traffickers or anything. They're just humanitarians who don't want to see people die out in the desert or out in the road. And all of a sudden they're facing like federal human trafficking charges or some bullshit.
So Stevie, if you're still in there, I saw her pop in. I always love the idea of the potluck and love the idea of, you know, neighborhoods like just getting together and you know, getting a big ass feast together and stuff. And I know, you know, Stevie has talked about it before. I wonder if there are any laws against it now. I don't know why there would be, but, you know, how dare you feed someone else?
Yeah, more and more cities are enacting those kinds of laws. You can't feed the homeless. Like, they're trying to crack down on homeless people living in certain places.
Yeah.
It's just excess, you know, they see it as excess population. And, you know, what do you do with people like that? You figure out a way to make money off of them. How do you do that? You throw them in a goddamn cell.
Yeah. But if you look at the Green Party's 10 key values, they should be fighting that shit tooth and nail. Because they're talking about, you know, sustaining oneself. Everybody has the right to sustain oneself and all of that kind of thing. Yeah, collecting rainwater should not be illegal anywhere. Growing your own food should not be illegal anywhere. I don't, you know, food sharing is a little different. But if you go to like a frickin' McDonald's, buy a hamburger and go and hand it to somebody, that should be fine. I kind of understand if you're like making an egg salad or something, and you know somebody could like claim that they got sick or whatever bullshit. I get that, but if you go to a place that serves prepared food, buy something. Or there was couple of instances where McDonald's workers or Burger King workers, they took their lunch and gave it to a homeless person, and they got fired.
Yeah, you know, it's just they don't want homeless people hanging around the McDonald's, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. These people are fucking beyond belief. Like, what are they? That's their excuse. We don't want the homeless to get poisoned. That's why we don't let people distribute food. Is that what they're saying?
Well,
that's a ridiculous excuse.
There was an ordinance when I worked in catering in Chicago. You couldn't take the food off site. You couldn't give it to other people because the catering company could get sued. Now that's a different thing. You know, that's a corporate rule.
Yeah, I mean, if the company's distributing food, yeah, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But if some individual is like, you know, handing out sandwiches down on Skid Row, you know, what the fuck? Or if some church decides to do it or whatever.
I mean,
you know, Republicans are always going on. Like, what they say is that the government shouldn't step in such instances. It's up to like organizations like churches and communities to support their members, indigent members of their community. You always hear that shit from them, right?
Yeah.
They're like, well, once we cut social services, the churches will pick up the slack. Well, now you've made distributing food and shit illegal, so it makes it much harder to do that. It's just, you know, it's trapping these people in a corner where they don't have any place to live. They don't have any food. You know, a good portion of them will die out, but then there's going to be the other portion that says, fuck you, and starts doing crazy shit because they have run out of options. And you can only jail so many of those people. Not every homeless person is a fucking crazy idiot. And being homeless provides people with a grudge a certain advantages, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're off the radar.
Well,
if you go around smashing things because you're pissed off at the world, it's actually harder to catch you if you're homeless.
right.
So what do you want to do? Create these fucking homeless vigilante groups that go around fucking doing shit? That could be the future, man.
Well, look, as long as it's in Deerfield, Illinois, everybody should be fine, because in Deerfield, Illinois, you can't have automatic weapons anymore, or you'll get $1,000 fine.
They're making a stand against Trump, man. I admire them for it.
My first reaction, and my reaction from now until the end of time, is I want to see the sheriff's department try to collect those fines and collect those guns. How the hell are you going to do that? A guy has a freaking AR-15. I'm sorry, sir. You're going to have to give that gun to me. Yeah, that's like.
And you know what? But anybody who's not a fucking complete idiot says to that, we're going to court, sheriff.
Right.
And the gun, like, you might be able to take it for now, but we're going to court immediately. And, like, pretty soon you've got 10 people, and then pretty soon you've got a fucking civil suit against the city.
Well,
so
Graham must be peeing himself with joy on that one. Yay! I don't get it. And I brought it up. I don't think you were in the room. So Stevie, there is a new law starting. It was passed Monday. As of June 13th, anyone who has an automatic weapon in Deerfield, Illinois, they will get fined $1,000 every day that they have it.
Give me a fucking break.
That's what it is.
That's punitive and unjust. $1,000 a day, fuck you. Like, this is some political grandstanding.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Some local fucking council's like, we're going to make the national news by doing this, and we're going to get reelected.
And Kathy, I have to take a look at the law, the actual law, read it. But Kathy B said that retired police officers are exempt from this law.
Yeah, so it has these fucked up provisions in it, which opens even more holes for attorneys to pick at.
Right.
Like, why are these cops, like, allowed to do it and not an average citizen? Like, that in itself, like, is a huge legal question.
What happened?
Much less this other shit.
I'm driving, I purchase a gun, in wherever, DeKalb, Illinois, and I happen to be driving through Deerfield to my house, and I get stopped, and I have an AR-15. I have a permit, I have everything, but no, I was in Deerfield, so I get fined. I don't know how that works. Do I
$1,000 a day?
Yeah.
That's just like out to bury people. Like, there's a difference between, like, using fines to encourage or discourage certain behaviors. And just trying to bury people with fines and try to suck money off of them.
Right.
I mean, traffic tickets nowadays, dude, are off the goddamn hook. all these fines are going way, way up, and it's just out of control. I mean, I'm not a drunk. I've never been, you know, I don't drunk drive. I don't approve of drunk driving, but like the penalties people get for first time drunk driving are way off the hook. I mean,
do you
it wrecks their lives.
Do you live stream drunk? Friends don't let friends live stream drunk.
I only live stream stoned.
Okay.
I'm not a big drinker.
That's okay. Well,
I get convinced into drinking sometimes, but I'm not a drinker.
Not only driving drunk, but driving tired. You get a ticket for driving tired also. Or these damn tickets for the easy
cell phone use,
the Easy Pass bullshit. Or you drive it's like tickets by mail, and you get these insane friggin' fines because you didn't get you didn't pay it on time or whatever, even though you never got the notification.
The laws on that, like, they've probably corrected the laws on it by now. But for years, the laws on that were so fucked up that they couldn't really enforce it. Like, so down in Arizona, they had cameras everywhere on the freeway, of course. And my buddy racked up like 5 of these tickets, and he just ignored them. Yeah. And nothing happened to his insurance. Like, they didn't come after him. Like, he got pulled over. They weren't on his fucking record a couple of years later. Like, there's something fucked up. There was something fucked up about the laws where it was like, if you paid it, you were acknowledging that you did it.
Right.
But if you didn't pay it, you weren't acknowledging that you did it, and they couldn't take you to court per se. So I'd imagine they've corrected that in a lot of states. But for a while, it was like you could just ignore that shit.
I ignored a parking ticket. It was like right before my wife and I left, right before Lynn and I left Chicago. They had street cleaning, and they didn't put the sign up until the morning of, and they put it right next to my car, and then gave me a ticket. And I was like, fuck it, I'm leaving anyway, it doesn't matter. Like 16 years later, I got this fucking ticket, this notification, I had to pay it. I was like, really? All right.
I've only been in jail one time, dude, and this is the story. Like, I used to have a sales job where I used to have to drive all over the state. And I was driving through some shit fucking town and got caught in like a crazy speed trap. It was like 25 miles an hour for 10 feet, So I get caught in this fucking speed trap, and they give me a ticket. And, I go about my business, and like I pay the ticket. I send it in like a week later or something. And then like 8 months later or something, I'm on my way to work. This is at night. I'm working a night auditor job at this point. And, like, I get pulled over for not 100% stopping at a stop sign. And cops are like, you got an unpaid ticket on your thing. I'm like, what? They said it's 8 months overdue. There's a warrant out for you. And they put me in cuffs, and they took me to the local jail first, and they shipped me 300 miles down to the county where I was fucking arrested for the ticket or fined for the ticket for, and I had to go through the whole process of spending the night in a drunk tank and all this other shit. And come to find out that they had expanded, there's a certain radius that they use when they pick up people for ticket warrants, right? And they had just expanded this radius because they had built a new jail.
And that's how you got your Jink Uger tattoo on your ass.
Yep. I got it in my ass, dude. It hurt. That was a horrible experience, though, man. Like, that was the one time I don't ever go to jail. I don't know if you've ever been to jail, but don't go to jail.
You know the tattoos property of Henry Rollins? You have a tattoo on your ass that says property of Jink Uger.
TYT. TYT, bitch. That's what I have tattooed on my dick.
Now I got to private. Now I got to make this video private. Thanks a lot.
Oh well.
You bastard. But
Oh well.
yeah, yeah. I really should probably be going to sleep.
It's a good note to end it on.
Yeah, 2:00. 2:00. I'll be talking to. I don't know if you know Sabrina yet. Sabrina Giesler. I met her in a Green News Network actually, and she used to work for RAP, or the Revolt Against Plutocracy, and she worked on some of the CFAR candidates, and she's an activist, and got to talking with her, and now we're doing some shows together, and we might even do a series. So we're going to be talking tomorrow about who really are agents of change. Sure as hell ain't the politicians. So,
Well, you've been doing some good interviews, man. I catch them when I'm able to, and they're usually pretty informative.
Really? Who did I interview? Remind me. Yeah, No,
you're doing good, man, and you're getting regular guests and the whole deal. I mean, you're providing a service, especially for the people who actually have to vote in these districts.
I'm trying. I know some people kind of gave me some flack on the Johnny Axum interview. I want to interview people to see where they're coming from.
Well, also by interviewing these small candidates, you're going to get tidbits that you're just not going to get. Like, let's say if you were to interview a bigger candidate or like a bigger personality, you're also going to get a feel for the way the wind is blowing in maybe a sense that you wouldn't if you were to interview bigger candidates.
Well, the other thing is, I'm hearing the same mantra over and over again. I don't know, and I know people gasp when I say this. I don't know if Medicare for All is the answer that everybody thinks it is. And there's a reason for that. People are like, oh my God, he's freaking possessed or whatever. It's basically government-controlled healthcare. So if you're going to have government-controlled healthcare, it's supposed to be instead of corporations, but we already know that politicians right this instant are owned by pharmaceutical companies, by the telecom companies, by whatever. I would say I will sign on the dotted line and accept HR 676 or Bernie's healthcare bill right now if you can guarantee me that there will be an amendment to that bill that states pharmaceutical companies can no longer lobby for politicians and can no longer donate to politicians' campaigns. Drop the mic.
We'll see.
No, that won't. That'll never happen. But I don't know what the answer is with healthcare, but giving the government complete, or giving them more control over it, I don't think they're going to kill your grandma, but...
Well, they will in effect. I mean, that's what they're already doing. By depriving people of needed medical care and by shoving them into inadequate facilities.
Right. Well,
there are already death panels, and there have been for many, many years.
Only if your grandma is homeless, or only if your grandma is Julian Assange, or your grandpa is Julian Assange. And what they're doing to Julian Assange is criminal and, in a sense, torture. I didn't know that the man, I don't know if he has a dislocated shoulder, but Susie was saying that he needs an MRI, and he also needs dental work. And when your teeth go, it can cause serious friggin'. I think he needs a root canal. And
here's a solution. Let him get in a cab, let him go to the airport, and let him fly to Ecuador. It's that simple. It's that simple. Like, there's no reason to have him there. Let him fly to Switzerland. Let him fly, let him out of the UK. This isn't how big of a threat is he running loose? You can track him wherever he goes. You can listen to every word he says with the technology that we have, no matter where he is on Earth. You're going to swarm the motherfucker with agents as soon as he's out of there. There is no reason to keep him there except to make some kind of absurd point, or someone's got a bug up their ass, or some stupid shit.
I don't know how safe it would be. I remember what they tried to do with Snowden. You're going to take down an entire, airplane just to try to take him out.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, let him go, man. That the UK should just let him leave the UK. They should let him out of take one fucking step out of that embassy, get in a goddamn cab, and leave. That's all they need to do. And they won't do it, and I don't know why. It makes no sense to keep him there. Unless, you've got some asshole who has, a bone to pick with him. Or a group of assholes who are making these decisions, who have bones to pick with him.
I'm sure that...
Because from an intelligence perspective, it makes no sense. You can track him anywhere he goes. If he uses any electronic device, you will pick it up immediately. You have a $3 trillion black budget at your disposal.
Well, now they're blocking his signal so he can't tweet or whatever, which is what the whole Reconnect Assange thing is about. Which really, my thing is, if the man needs health care, give him health care. Give him the dental work he needs. Give him the MRI and see what his issue is.
This is an embassy. They should have there should be a dentist and a doctor on site. I'd imagine there is.
There probably is.
This is an embassy.
Right. There probably is. They're just holding it, which is, it's criminal. It's wrong. Prisoners, in a way, he's a prisoner. Let's be honest, but criminals who have, mass murderers and shit, they get better freaking treatment. So, I don't.
It just makes no sense, man. I don't know why they're keeping him there. I really can't figure it out. Except that they, it makes a lot of news and press headlines, and it keeps people focused on Assange. So maybe their whole goal is, because Assange has been rendered pretty ineffective, probably at this point, why not keep attention on him?
Well, the other thing is...
He's useless anyway, so why not focus everyone's attention on him?
You put pressure on the high-profile whistleblowers so that other people think twice about doing what has been done.
Yeah, they make an example out of him or whatnot, but, it just seems to be... It seems to go beyond even that. I don't know. It makes no sense, like I said, dude. What they're doing to him is violates his human rights, keeping him in that embassy.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to break him. There's just no getting away from it. Would you spend 20 years in that fucking embassy? Or would you eventually just go, okay, look, Here's the information you want. I'm walking away. Let me go. See, I don't. If at some point he does break, I won't blame him for breaking.
Well, I'm surprised.
It's not his fault.
If he did break, commit suicide or whatever. I mean, it's gotta be just you're isolated, you're in pain, you're not really talking to anybody. It's just
yeah. And Kathy, he can walk out anytime he wants, right into the hands of the Scotland Yard or God or whoever else is out there waiting for him. And just to clarify, I'm not saying WikiLeaks is useless. I'm saying that at this point they have rendered Assange himself ineffective. He's trapped in this embassy. He has when he does have internet, I'm sure everything he does is monitored and controlled.
Yeah.
He's rendered kind of ineffective because of all these things.
Huh.
So the reason to keep him in the embassy isn't to render him ineffective. He's already been rendered ineffective no matter where he goes because he has a giant target on him. And every intelligence agency on the globe is watching him, et cetera, et cetera.
To quote Stevie, and I'll end on this. That's some dumb fuckery. That's going to be my tagline from now on. That's some dumb fuckery.
All right, dude. Have a good night.
Peace. I gotta go.
See ya.
See y'all. Thanks for hanging out.